parts of a resume and what you should and should not include in a good resume. I know making your resume for the first time may feel overwhelming, but don't worry, I will hold your hand till the end. Making a good resume requires a good amount of patience and great attention to detail. And unless you are a creative person who enjoys designing resumes, the whole process may feel a bit tiring and even boring to you. But the good news is that you have to make a great resume only once in your life. After that, you can always edit or add more details and use it for the rest of your career. So, think of it as a one-time investment that will bear fruit for you for the rest of your career. Isn't that great? Alright, let's start and see what makes a great resume. Look at this template resume. Doesn't it look neat and clean? Don't you want something similar for yourself? You do, right? Okay, let's learn what are the different things that go into making a resume this neat and clean. The first thing that you notice in this resume is the heading section. And what all does it contain? It contains your name, contact details such as your phone number and email ID, your portfolio link such as GitHub, Play Store account, your Behance portfolio, or even your LinkedIn profile. But one thing you should keep in mind is to make sure that the heading section does not look cluttered. So, if you have more than one portfolio link to share on your resume, then you can make a separate section for them instead of putting all of them in the heading section. Now, what are the things you should keep in mind while making the heading section of your resume? First thing, you should always use a professional email ID such as firstname.lastname@gmail.com. It looks professional and creates a good impression. So, what is an example of an unprofessional email ID? Something like this or this. I'm sure most of us would have made at least one email ID like this at some point in our life. But please do not use it on your resume. It does not give a very good impression. Finally, do not include a photograph of yours in the heading section. Some students do it, but it's completely unnecessary and never required, unless the company has specifically asked for it. Alright? Many people also mention their age and gender in the heading, though it's not advisable to write such personal information unless the company has again specifically asked for it in the job description. Let's look at what's next. The next section is your education details. And what all does it contain? It contains all your educational qualifications from 10th standard onwards. It should include the time period, name of the institute, name of the degree, and your academic performance. Let's see what are the things you should keep in mind while making your education section. Always mention the details in reverse chronological order. What do I mean by that? You should mention the most recent details first. For example, if you are pursuing a BTech, then mention your BTech degree at the top, the 12th afterwards, and followed by 10th standard. While mentioning your degree academic performance, do not mention semester-wise academic performance. The aggregate of your CGPA percentage is enough. Why, you might ask? Because it unnecessarily makes your resume look cluttered and messy. Similarly, do not mention all the subjects that you have studied in your graduation in your resume. If need be, mention only the subjects which are relevant to the job profile that you are applying for. Do not mention all of them. Next up is internships or work experience. And this is the most important section of your resume. If you have done internships before, that is a practical proof in front of an employer that you have the skills and can do the job, which is why it is important to do a good job of writing this section. In case you haven't done any internship but have a volunteering experience with an NGO or a non-profit organization, then you can also mention that in your resume. It demonstrates to a potential employer that you like to be active in the community. The more well-rounded you are, the better you will appear on paper. Volunteering is also a great way to network. So, there is a business aspect to it as well. So, what all information should this section include? It should include the name of the organization you interned with, the profile, and the time period for which you did the internship. It should also include a brief description of the actual work you did. Do not leave this blank. Do not write a generic description and do not write a few words. Write a good description of the work you did. For example, if you worked on a technical profile such as web development, don't simply say, "I built a website," but also mention the technologies and frameworks that you used, the challenges you faced, what you did to overcome them, and the rewards you received. Similarly, for a non-technical profile such as content writing, don't just mention that you wrote content, but also provide a description about the different types of content that you may have worked on, such as blogs, articles, topics, or the area of your content, like did you work on the science articles or fashion blog, etc. You may also mention details like if you worked on the company's social media platforms or their SEO. All of this put together gives a very good impression to the recruiter of the actual work that you may have done in the internship and what are the extra skills you have. What are the things that you should keep in mind for this section? Like education, this section can also be written in reverse chronological order, which means you can mention the most recent internship in the front. But that's not always mandatory. You can always customize this section based on the profile of the internship or the job that you are applying for. For example, let's say if you have done 2 internships, one management and one technical. Now, if you are applying for a technical job, mention the technical internship first, since it has more relevance to this particular job. Or, if you are applying for a management job or a non-technical job, mention the management internship first. As I said before, always give a good and specific description of the work that you did during the internship. Do not leave it blank and do not give a generic description. Finally, do not make any grammatical or spelling mistakes in your internship description. With the amount of spell checker tools such as Grammarly, MS Word Spell Checker, etc. that are available to you, there is absolutely no excuse why your resume should contain any grammatical or spelling mistakes. Similarly, avoid any technical or industry-specific jargon in your resume. Make it simple for a normal person to read and understand. Next up is the project section. This is also an important section of your resume because this is one way of demonstrating any academic project work that you may have done independently and what you are capable of. This should include the title of your project, duration for which you did this project, and again, a brief description which is specific and rich in details. If your project resulted in a publication or if there is an online link to the project, please do mention that. Next, we will look at the section on skills. In this section, you can mention any specific skills that you may have and are relevant to the profile that you are applying for. You can mention 2 types of skills in your resume: hard or technical skills and soft skills. Now, let me tell you in detail about both the types of skills and how you can mention them in your resume. So, what do we mean by hard or technical skills? Hard skills are the technical skills or the knowledge that you may have gained while doing your graduation, an internship, a workshop, seminar, training, etc. Now, a lot of the students think that only candidates from an engineering background would have technical skills, which is not true. Students from a non-engineering background may also possess technical skills. Let's understand this better with examples. A good example of hard skills for students from a technical background could be any programming languages or softwares such as Java, Android, etc. that they may have learned during their education or any professional training course. Similarly, for candidates from a non-technical or non-engineering background, a few examples of hard skills could be Microsoft Excel, Tally if they have taken an accounting class, or if they have done a certificate course or an online training in a foreign language, etc. Some other examples can be graphic design, legal drafting, policy drafting, instructional design, etc. So, this section on hard skills can be relevant for anyone, whether you are from a technical background or a non-technical one. Now, let's understand what are soft skills. Soft skills are the personal habits and traits that shape how you work on your own and with others. Effective communication, for example, is a key soft skill that many employers seek. Some other soft skills may include time management, interpersonal skills, active listening, leadership skills, problem-solving skills, etc. Now, how would you assess which soft skills do you have? It is actually quite simple. Just look back at the past experiences of your life. For example, have you ever managed a team of people during your college fest and organized something? If yes, that highlights your leadership skills, and you can mention that in your resume. Similarly, have you ever convinced your teacher to not give you homework or your whole class to go on a mass bunk? If yes, this showcases your convincing skills. So, think of the kind of person you are and what soft skills do you possess. Are you very good with time management? Or are you always able to come up with solutions for a problem? Asking yourself such questions will help you write the soft skills section well. However, please avoid mentioning any unverifiable skills such as hardworking, dependable, committed, etc. on your resume. And make sure you mention only those skills here that are verifiable and can be supported with concrete examples. Because if you don't have any concrete examples, the recruiter will not be able to evaluate you. With this, we have covered the section on different types of skills. Now, let's go back and have a look at our resume. If you look at this skills section in this sample resume, this person has mentioned the skills such as Python, C++, Java, etc. But what do these words beginner, advanced, and intermediate mean here? Well, these are the different levels of proficiency that the person has in each of these skills. So, when your recruiter will see the resume, he or she will come to know immediately that you are an expert in Java but only know the basics of Python. So, in the skills section, it is advisable that you mention the proficiency level as well. That is, you should clearly define the extent of your knowledge in a particular subject or skill. The three levels of skill proficiency are beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Now, let us understand what these three levels stand for. A beginner is someone who has a very basic understanding of the skill. What does that mean? That means you have exposure to the skill and understand basic concepts, but you lack experience. Intermediate level is when someone has the knowledge of a skill between a beginner and advanced level. That means you have the experience of working and carrying out a particular skill, but you don't understand advanced concepts. The word advanced is used for a highly developed skill level. So, if you have solid experience and training in a particular skill and also understand its advanced concepts, then you can mention your level in it as advanced. Let us understand this better with an example. You have learned a foreign language. In this case, if your knowledge and vocabulary of that language is limited to a few essential objects, family names, and core action or relational verbs, but you cannot frame meaningful or difficult sentences using them, then you are a beginner. When you develop a good knowledge of the vocabulary of a language, can frame sentences using them, but still need support to speak or write the language fluently, then you are an intermediate learner. And finally, you are an advanced learner if you have a strong grip of the language vocabulary, can frame meaningful sentences, speak, and write it fluently on your own without any help from a teacher. Similarly, you can assess your level in a particular skill based on your extent of knowledge in it and mention that accordingly in your resume. Now, let us go back to the resume. After understanding the different type of skills and the proficiency levels that one can mention in their resume, let us take a look at the do's and don'ts for writing the skills section effectively. List the skills you are most experienced in first. That is, place the skills that you consider to have an advanced level of experience with before the skills in which you consider yourself to be a beginner. This can help draw an employer's attention to your most valued skills before they see the skills that you are less experienced in. Next is, You should always place the hard skills before your soft skills. This helps the employers to see the job-related skills first. After you have listed the job-specific skills that you have to offer, you can include the skills that are directly related to your personality and work ethics. So, hard skills come first and then write the soft skills. Try to maintain a balance between the different levels of skills that you mention on your resume. Listing yourself at an advanced level in every skill might not seem realistic to the employers. But at the same time, make sure you don't undervalue your skill level as well. Mention the skills that reflect the internship or job position. What we mean by that is, review the job description carefully before applying for a job or an internship. Highlight the skills required as per the job description first. For example, if the job description says that they need someone who is good with back-end languages, while you have the knowledge of both back-end and front-end languages, then you should mention your list of back-end languages first and front-end languages after that. What you should not do is include the things that are very common, such as knowledge of Windows 10, or mention a personality trait such as I'm sincere, hardworking, polite, etc. This section is meant for specific skills only. Next section is trainings and workshops. In general, companies give less weightage to trainings and workshops compared to your internships and projects. Nonetheless, these are important. Let us see what we can mention under this section. So, you can write a short description of not more than 1 or 2 lines along with the duration or time period you spent on this workshop or training. You can also mention any online trainings and courses that you may have done in this section. So, what are the do's and don'ts we should keep in mind while writing this section? What you should definitely avoid is filling this section with too many irrelevant or short duration workshops which were only for a day or half a day. As I said before, this doesn't really add a lot of weight to your resume. Like internships or projects, you can mention these things in reverse chronological order or customize them as per the internship or job-specific requirement that you are applying for. Next up is awards and achievements. In this section, you can mention all the major achievements such as awards received, competitions won, or major positions of responsibilities that you may have handled, or any academic distinction that you may have received. This section is meant to highlight all the achievements of your life till date. But again, do not mention insignificant achievements that are really old or of school days. Let's say, for example, if you are applying to a technical profile such as mobile app development, in that case, if you had won a skating championship in your school when you were in class 8th or 9th, it may not add any value to your resume. But on the other hand, if you had won a debate competition or a Bonvita quiz competition in class 12 or your college and you are applying to a marketing internship, then this achievement may help you highlight your convincing and communication skills, which are essential for a marketing profile. Therefore, mentioning the achievements connected to the profile you are applying for would be helpful. A good way to test this is to put yourself in the company's position and ask, would you really care about this achievement on an applicant's resume yourself? If the answer to that question is no, then do not mention that achievement of yours on the resume. Finally, the last section is additional information, which is meant to cover everything else that you want to convey to your employer but has not been covered in the sections above. This will include the things such as co-curricular or extra activities that you may have participated in your school or college. It may contain some minor positions of responsibilities that you may have handled but did not mention in any of the sections before. It can also contain your hobbies and interests. But again, keep this really short. Include this section only if you have anything relevant to mention. With this, we are done with all the different sections that a resume should ideally contain. What is important to note is that a resume may or may not contain all the sections. For example, If you have not won any awards that are relevant to your resume, you can skip that section. Or if you don't have any co-curricular activities to mention, then leave it out. Just try to be honest and write what is applicable to you. Like Rahul, we hope all of you have understood the steps to create an impactful resume for yourself. And now, it is time for an interesting fact about writing resumes. Did you know resumes can also be colorful and have graphics? Yes, it is no longer required for your resumes to be conventional. This depends, of course, on your industry though. For example, a candidate from an artistic field such as advertising can enhance his or her resume through the use of clean design, color, etc. Or a songwriter can easily make a song out of their resume. Such pieces immediately catch the eye of the recruiting managers. With this, we come to the end of this video.